Why do you think that people, all these polls show, like a lot of voters look back on the Trump years and they think they didn't like a lot about it, but they think the economy was good in the Trump years? You know, before that, Donald Trump was, he was presiding over an okay economy.
You know, again, I don't know. I can't explain polling. No, I mean, I can't.
No, I don't.
I can't, and I can't explain how the narratives come to be.
So Senator Liz Warren is totally bewildered on why Americans miss the Trump economy. It's no surprise. Warren was always bad with numbers. Remember when she thought that 1/1000th of a Native American meant that she was the real deal? So under Trump, overall inflation was just over 6% during his first 3 years. Under Biden, it was up nearly 18%. And the most important stat, your grocery bill. Under President Trump, it was up 2%. Under Joe Biden, it's up 21%. So, you know, Greg, this is one of these very simple cases, and politicians always get it wrong. When you have a collision of ideology and reality, and you stick with ideology instead of reality, you're always going to fail.
It's such a shame. She could have drawn on the indigenous wisdom of her vaulted heritage. She could have said, under Trump, white man had more wampum for beads and arrowheads. She doesn't know narratives. She created one called her biography. That what you saw was cognitive dissonance, because she exists in a bubble and nobody asks her that question. And this is where you're faced between a choice between three things. One is telling the truth, which will hurt you more, or lying and escaping without a scratch, or just throwing up your hands. This happens more and more every day. Since Jesse's not here, I will give a Jesse example.
Okay, right.
It's like, you know, when somebody asks you what makes a woman attractive, right? A man can state it clearly, but if he does, you know, he's done, right? So instead he says, oh, it's a sense of humor, it's confidence, or it's independence, when he really wants to say a really hot body. And so the only other option is you have to say, you know, I really don't know what makes a woman so attractive. You know, that's something that we've discussed since the beginning of time. There's so many variables. I wish I knew.
Nailed it.
So
Thank you.
Dana, one of the most obvious tells when a politician is doing it wrong is when she immediately started talking about polling and narratives.
Yeah.
And anytime a politician sounds like a political consultant, they're losing.
So she has a net worth of at least $7.5 million. She's got houses in Cambridge in the Penn Quarter. And look, success is great, if you want to look at it that way. But also, Biden may have won the battle of the presidency in the primary that year, but Bernie Sanders and Elizabeth Warren won the war.
Yep.
The administration is stacked with people that worked for Bernie and Warren, and the Biden policies are actually Warren's policies. And don't anybody forget it. That's exactly what's happening. And now Biden, thinking that this is a good idea, starts to pick up some of her economic themes, right? Where have we heard? Shrinkflation and corporate greed. She wants to go after the grocery stores. I hope that for Biden's sake, he doesn't continue doing that. But the problem for him is that he is surrounded by people who worked for her and Bernie Sanders, and they are pushing forward their policies.
So true. Is it a problem for Democrats to mansplain the economy into an election?
No, but I often think that womansplaining is more effective because it has to do with the bells and whistles and the details of how the household works, because women make those decisions. So you're going to talk about the grocery bills. You're going to talk about the decision of which car you're going to buy, something else referencing Jesse that he doesn't believe us, that women actually make those decisions. They do.
That's true.
And I think that the surrogates need a better answer for these questions because they are going to keep coming. And it seems quite self-evident to me that the way to handle it, and I have a much cushier job, I said, in a studio talking about these things versus out on the campaign trail, but give Trump credit, say why Biden's situation is better. So the reason that people think the Trump economy was better is tax cuts. So that's what it is. But there is so much evidence that Biden has built a great economy off the heels of a terrible global pandemic that you have so much to talk about. So you talk about low unemployment under Trump. Guess what? It's lower under Biden, especially for blacks and Latinos. Talk about consumer sentiment. It's the highest that it's been since 2005, had the biggest jump. 76% of Americans think they're going to be better off in a year from now than they are going to be today. Talk about oil production with 13.5 million barrels are being produced. It is a record, a historic record. Talk about insulin prices. You don't have to insult him every time to be able to make the argument that Biden is just doing better. GDP growth, 22%.
So, Judge, do you think women are going to buy being lied to about how great the economy is?
No, because they go to the supermarket every day, because they fill their car up with gas every day, whether they're taking kids to school or after-school programs or whether they're going out to dinner, wherever they're going. Look, the women, and I don't care. I don't take a position who buys a car, who makes the decisions. I don't really care. All I know is this. A woman knows how much is in her pocketbook at the beginning of the week and how much is there at the end of the week when she has to pay her bills. All right. And for Liz Warren to not be able to say and just kind of like say, oh, I don't know. She's so clouded by hate and ideology that she cannot look at a sheet, an Excel spreadsheet or the metrics and say, well, this is why this and this is why that. But you know what? The most frustrating part of all this is that the people in Washington give a damn about any of us. And you know what? They're all multimillionaires. Here's a woman. She makes $174,000. I heard, Dana, she's worth over $10 million. All right. That's all about insider trading. OK, that's all about them finding out about the deals before the rest of the public finds out. It's a game. It's all a game. And here's the bottom line. You decide when your pocketbook is, when you're doing better, when buying your groceries or spending your money, and when you're not. And that's a decision. It's the economy, and this year it's immigration, too.
Well, but just to say that the argument against the economy is obviously failing. So the new
No, it isn't.
yes, it is, because Donald Trump even admitted that he doesn't. He needs it to crash so that he can win.
Oh, no, that's not what
he doesn't want to be Herbert Hoover. He said it out of his own mouth. And
yeah, he said
now
it's going to crash.
I dismissed that with
so
an
much crap comes out of
I
his mouth.
dismissed it with an analogy that I don't want to be on the 5 when it's low rated. That doesn't mean I want the show to have a low rating.
Exactly.
It just means I don't want to be here if it gets a low rating. That's what he said.
I mean,
me neither. We got to go.
Hey, Sean Hannity here. Hey, click here to subscribe to Fox News YouTube page and catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis. You will not get it anywhere else.